Hello, my name is Ben Souls. I'm here with Mr. Kevin Smith. We're at Clarkson High School. Mr. Smith is the accounting teacher and also a business law teacher. I believe Mr. Smith is associated in some accounting practices. He is not actually a CPA, which stands for a Certified Public Accountant, but he does do accounting and the bookkeeping for a few major companies.
All right, then I guess we'll just start our questions. All right, Mr. Smith, could you tell us a little bit about the accounting field?
Well, I do know that the schooling is very intensive. You start out in college and you take your first two courses, 201, 202, and then they enter you into the School of Business. But after that, the classes are quite intense and they get very detailed. But the field itself, the CPA exam is very, very difficult, similar to the bar exam. But people are allowed to practice accounting without actually taking a CPA exam. You just have to make sure that your numbers are correct, and you can't advertise that you are a certified public accountant.
Do you possibly know, as far as demographics go, are there more men or women accountants?
There are more men accountants.
Okay.
Men are more interested, and it's actually the accountants have a older age group that are in their field. The younger generation is made up of more females, though.
All right. As far as responsibilities while on the job, what would you say? I mean, obviously getting your numbers properly, but other than that, what are your typical responsibilities when you work as an accountant?
Well, of course, keeping numbers correct, but I need to make sure that I communicate with the customer, explain, hey, these are your expenses, these are some things that we need to reduce. These are your incomes, can we look at ways of increasing them? These are your taxes, did you set aside money for this? It's always about shifting money around and trying to get revenues enough so that, in the end, that the owner gets money and that everybody is happy, because if the owner doesn't get any money, then they don't reinvest, and then the money doesn't continue, and then usually the business will die if there's no reinvestment into the business.
All right, say what is a common problem in the accounting field that one might face, and how could you solve it?
Auditing is a huge problem. In dealing with the IRS codes, the IRS code book is that thick, and dealing with all the codes of the IRS and the IRS auditors is usually a big deal, because the IRS is always going to get their money, and they're always right. There's no negotiation with them, and then it is very black and white. So when you do those, you have to make sure. I know, for example, I owe $166 with interest for a business that I do for taxes, because it was figured incorrectly, and it had an interest payment on it that I didn't catch. So they just send you a nice little letter saying, please pay this, and we're all caught up. So.
Demographically, do you know possibly the best location to be an accountant?
Demographically, no. If you want to be like an auditor, one of the best places, of course, is the IRS. But demographically, it's across the board, because everybody now has to be audited according to the new accounting principles. So auditors are even more needed, and they want to make sure that that every business is accounted for, and that every business has their books correct. So everybody needs their accounting done now, and everybody pretty much has them checked by somebody. And I even have a CPA that I go to that, hey, can you check these numbers that something's not working out if I have a problem.
So it sounds like definitely accounting is it's a very growing field.
Oh, absolutely. With the number of jobs and the number of businesses that we have all the time, accountants are needed, and I go through with the classes that services like payroll and just figuring out taxes and paying taxes is a huge deal, because a lot of people can't do that. And then organizing financial statements, like what is your incomes, what is your expenses, and so people often don't put those graphs together, like, hey, you're spending this much on expenses, you should probably spend this much. Or your income, you need to figure out another way to get revenue. Or market this a little bit better because this product does very well versus this product. So it's a lot of percentages, and you can tell a lot about a business by the way that the numbers and the percentages work out.
All right, Mr. Smith, what universities would you recommend to someone that would want to go into the accounting field?
Well, since accounting is basically a universal kind of, it's one of the oldest kinds of professions. So everybody had to account for numbers and just use the number system. So really, as far as universities, it doesn't matter. It really depends upon where you would like to go to school, because the classes have to be the same. CPAs all take the same test, whether you're in California or you're in Michigan. They all take the same test. And the classes all have to be the same because you have to learn similar information. So really, it just depends on where you would like to go, where you feel most comfortable.
All right, well, accounting, good or bad field to go into?
If you enjoy numbers and you enjoy crunching and you enjoy trying to figure out little problems like where could I divert this money to make it better, where can I make a business, then by all means. But if you don't like numbers, this is not the field for you. If you don't like a little bit of tedious work, sitting down, crunching them out, then it would be a very difficult job.
All right, well, I think that's all. So
Thank you
for taking your time out to come do an interview with us.
You're welcome.